Hey guys, this is Nique and Ress, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. Today we will be talking about overfunctioning and survival. When softness feels like a death sentence.
Yes. And so, like, when we're talking about this, because you ever notice that, like, when life's been really rough, we don't just have to swim through the currents. It feels like we are swimming through the currents with bricks in our hands while dragging five people to shore with us. Not because we want to, but because somewhere deep inside, you believe if you ever stop, if you ever rest, if you ever let yourself be soft, you'll drown, or even worse, be swallowed whole. And this is a common theme for a lot of us overfunctioners. And I know we talked about overfunctioning before, but we've gotten a lot of requests to like go back over it. I know some of you guys requested this months ago. We're just now getting around to it, but we said, okay, we will explore different sides of it. Because I think most conversations around overfunctioning make it sound like it's a scheduling problem. Like you're just doing too much, just take some of these things off. But for some of us, overfunctioning isn't about time management. It's about survival math. You've calculated, consciously or not, that being hyper capable is the only thing that keeps you safe. So I know this personally is something that I definitely struggle with. And I know exactly where it came from. And I've talked about this several times. I think because I had to be very hyper independent in my childhood, and I've mentioned this on a podcast several times, but like I had a sibling that my parents went through an incredibly tough time where it just seemed like it was thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. My aunt, my mother's sister passed away unexpectedly. Like we found out she got cancer, and it felt like in 3 months she was gone. It went very quickly. And then right after that, my brother passed away. And right after that, my mom was kind of just in this like public battle. And it was just thing after thing after thing. And while for my siblings, that wasn't their childhood, they were teens or like in their early 20s. But for me, that was my childhood. And it's not that my parents didn't care. It wasn't that my parents weren't there and weren't stepping up, but it was they were so overwhelmed that a lot of times I just took it upon myself to be independent, to be hyper independent because I knew my mom is grieving, because I knew that, all this stuff, that media is taking its toll on her, because I knew she just lost her sister, because I knew that my dad is now, carrying the boatload of everything because my mom is really going through. And it just created this thing in me very early on, like, okay, sometimes you're just gonna have to do this by yourself. You're just gonna have to figure out because it feels like it will be a burden to others.
Mhm.
And that just kind of carried on with me from childhood into currently. It's still something that I have to actively remind myself, like, hey, you're doing too much.
I think the thing with me, well, you know how it is with me. But I think it's something that's kind of like passed down in a way. Because I'm the oldest, my mom's the oldest, my grandma's the oldest. And I think we always stay busy. And it's just like we never take the time to just breathe, or we never take the time to just woosah. And I feel like if we're not doing something, we feel like we're missing out on something. But honestly, sometimes we feel like we all just got anxiety and we got, all right, I'll get something going on. And we just feel like we got to stay busy so we won't have to think about it. That's what I sometimes think about. Even like with my friends, like a lot of my friends are really organized. Like I go to their homes and their homes are really organized. I always grew up in some type of not dysfunctional mentally, but our house was dysfunctional. And then I
Mhm,
came to the conclusions because we were just never there. Like we were
mhm,
just always doing something, and never like take time to breathe. And I need friends sometimes like you and other friends have something like, you gotta slow down. And I'm like, I hear you. I hear you. But I don't. So I don't know. And even just being the oldest and feeling like I had to take care of a lot of stuff. Whereas I gotta do my homework. I gotta help my sisters get ready for school. I even remember doing my younger sister's hair for like picture day. It was like a picture day, and she had like these big old like juicy bangs, and they was like, "Why was right?" And I was like, "Cause I did it." And I was only 6 years older than her, but it's just like I just always had to do something. So it was always leaving me to be like not really knowing how calm feels, or not really knowing how to calm down or calm my body and just sit still. Because if I'm sitting still, it seems like this is awkward. I don't know how. I didn't practice the art of like being alone and feeling my feelings until I was older. And I had to like set time out to do it, or else it just wouldn't happen.
It's so funny though that you mentioned that thing about your sister. I think maybe ninth grade they might have got me. I don't remember ninth grade, but you cannot find a yearbook picture of me after ninth grade. And it was because like it started with just 1 year. Like I did not have my hair done. I was running late and I used to be bused to school. So like I lived in one city and they would have a bus that picked all of us up from this town to take us to the other city, not city, town. Um, and like so I was running late. And so like my dad had to drop me off. He was mad because it was in another city. He was fussing at me and all this stuff. And I just looked a mess and I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I refuse. I just straight up refuse. It's not like today where they give you like 8 different makeup days if you don't like your picture. Because they do that with my child now. And I was like, oh, they did not do that for us. It was like, no, forever people gonna have this picture of you looking a mess. And I just like literally didn't. And I think about that too of like, girl, why did you tell somebody like I need to go to the salon? Like, why did you like you really just thugged it out and was like, well, I guess this is what we doing.
I think it's the same, but just like at one point in time, I wonder if that's gonna be us. Cause like at one point in time, they just stopped doing our hair. Like I remember crying because my hair was so curly and I couldn't get it to stay down. And I'm like crying because I couldn't not get my hair in a ponytail and I still had to go. And one time I just took some Vaseline and just did like smoothed it all down. And she was like, "Why you have Vaseline in your hair?" Because you won't do it. So I don't know what that
Girl.
that's them 90s moms. And they be wondering why we overstimulated now. Because we
Mhm.
had to take care of life at age three. I mean, at three, third, fourth, sixth grade. Like that's why we like wilding out sometimes too. We didn't have
I'm a
time to think
pastor's
about
kid,
it.
so I'm wilding out for different reasons. But yes,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
I
'Cause
was
it's weird.
assigned to wild out when I got older.
Mhm.
Literally how that works.
'Cause it was just too much going on. Okay. So let's talk about if I slow down, I'll be eating mindset. So trauma trained hypervigilance doesn't just make you like alert. It makes you perform safety through productivity control and services. So sometimes we equate slowing down with vulnerability, and vulnerability equals danger. Sometimes because that's exactly what it is in your past. And I think this is huge for me. I was saying like earlier, like slowing down and taking the time for myself makes me
Mhm.
scared because I
Yeah.
really have to like listen to the voice in my head that I've been running from all of this time. And it takes a lot of work to be vulnerable. And I'm just not a vulnerable person in general. I'm not.
Word.
I'm not at all. So it's just like I said it loud. I mean, I think I feel most safe with like you. I don't even think it's even some of my friends, even my family. Like I'm just not vulnerable, and I don't really. I always say it has something to do with my childhood. Probably sure. It's a lot of secretive things going on in my childhood that I just kept to myself, or
Yeah.
a dual personality here and there. Like I have to be this way here, I have to be that way there, but nobody really knows my true thing. And I don't think I ever kicked it. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Um, but for the most part, even you don't know some things, but it's never that I'm feel like I'm purposely hiding. I think vulnerability still just makes me scared
Yeah.
for some reason. Either it's gonna keep me accountable, and I don't want to
Mhm.
be accountable,
Lord knows that is
or
not your strong suit.
yeah,
That
it's
is not
not like vulnerability. No, like
accountability.
accountability sucks. Yeah,
Accountability.
I don't want to be sometimes. So even and more so with myself, like if I tell you or like my sister,
Mhm.
I know I'm gonna be accountable, and I don't want to sometimes, so I might not tell because I'm like, yeah.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
that gets me in trouble. But it is
Mhm.
what it is. It is what it is. But even being accountable to myself or just figuring shit out in my head, that's scary to me. So I think that this definitely qualifies me because I'm a runner from even my own feelings or
Yeah.
even my own vulnerabilities at points, times.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, you have talked about this several times. We both are like, "Ah, there's certain things I just don't bring up." Um, and same type of reason. I know for me, like I definitely struggle with vulnerability, but mine is very purposeful. Like you're like, oh, I don't mean to. Mine is like, nah, I am very specifically, purposely keeping these things to myself. And a lot of that does have to do with just having moments that you really needed folks and they did not come through for you. Having moments where I was, I didn't have too many, but I definitely have had moments where I'm like, okay, I need to be vulnerable right now. And I need you to be able to like hold that space for me. I need you, especially from people I held space for all the time. And having that, giving them that vulnerability and them not being able to rise to the occasion, like really kind of broke something in me. And I can think of like, I'm sure it happened more, but I can think of like a very specific moment that happened in my childhood. I can think of a very specific moment that happened when I was a teen. I can think of a very specific moment where that happened in my 20s. Hell, I can think of a moment where it happened in my 30s, where it was like, okay, it's like every decade. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna test this vulnerability thing out. We gonna see. We gonna see. And doing it in little doses and being like, oh, you aren't able to rise to the occasion the way I rise to the occasion. And so I might as well just handle it myself because sometimes sitting there watching people not know what to do when it comes to you feels more hurtful than it is to just, you know what, but I know what to do. Or maybe I don't, but I'll at least try something. And I think I just kind of developed that mindset really, really early. And I've tried to test it out. Like once a decade, I'm like, all right, let's see, we can be vulnerable. No, okay, vulnerability is not for Russ. It's for everybody else. Russ knows how to make everybody else feel safe being vulnerable, make them feel safe with their emotions, but apparently that's not for me. And that's just life. And like really having that mindset, really, really believing it. Even now, every now and then, like I find myself doing things that I'm like, yo, that's the cycle of that mindset. And I have to stop myself. But like, not even that. There's certain things that, like, again, there's just certain situations I shouldn't have been put in. And there's certain things where I'm like, I don't know if it's safe for me to say this. I don't know, I don't know how everybody's life will change if I say this. And I think again, when you grow up with in a place where there's secrets and you go up in an environment where everyone sweeps things under the rug, and you grow up in an environment where there is some type of emotional neglect for whatever reason. Maybe a parent was sick, and it's not always, and I want to stress this because it's not always like, oh, and they purposely wanted to hurt me. A lot of times parents aren't. They just aren't aware because parents are people too. They got their own stuff going on. You might have a mom that emotionally neglected you, but it was because she was sick. She was always very, very ill. And so it was hard. She was doing her best, but it just really wasn't enough. And so you came into a role, you kind of take care of her and you take care of you. She loved you and she wanted to, but sometimes we just have those situations. Again, my situation, my brother died. Nobody wanted that. Nobody expected that. And I can't blame anybody for like going through a period where I don't know how to function because I just lost my son.
Mhm.
So sometimes it can be like, again, not that people in our life are purposely trying to fumble us, but it's just that's how it turns out. And I think for some of us, we're just more emotionally sensitive to that type of thing. I'm very emotionally sensitive to betrayal. I'm very emotionally sensitive. And some things, I mean, calm down. 'Cause some things aren't betrayal, but that's how my mind looks at it. And that's not what's happening. And I have to stop and be like, hey, let's reality check. But like I'm very sensitive to those type of things. I'm really big on like I can remember like it's very hard for me to forget a time when someone like really disappointed me. I'm not really big on it's not easy for me to forgive. It's not easy for me to like be like, oh, well, that's just a moment. Let's give it another try. I'm real easy. Is what my natural mode to do is to be like, oh, I won't ever try that shit with you again. You will never hear anything from me again. If I'm still talking to you, type of bill. And I think again, if that is how you've operated and it's kept you safe, it is so hard to break out of it when you have no examples of you being vulnerable ever being safe. And I think that goes into like the next angle to explore, which is emotional camouflage. Whereas over functioning isn't always about being a people pleaser. Sometimes it's just about not being the target. If you're busy solving everybody else's problems, then you don't have time to notice your weakness or for people to come for you. And that can be like, I'm the mother hen of the group. And so no one really questions mother hen because mother hen's who we all come to. But like, no one's also supporting mother hen. Nobody,
Mm.
I'm sorry for the guys, all 6% of y'all, that can be like, you the big bro. Like, that's big bro. And so you handle everything. You're the one who pays for everything. You're the one who like, oh, if I need, they come to you. But it's like, because I play that role in that position, it almost creates a hierarchy of like, and don't question me. It kind of creates a hierarchy of like, don't worry about what I got going on over here. Because don't I be the one solving your problems? Don't I be the one that helping everybody out? And the sad part about this, I think, is even when you are in that role, a lot of times you really do want to be vulnerable. You
Mhm.
really do wish somebody could kind of come save you, come rescue you. But every time you try it again, like you just had to step up and end up being the one to save everyone anyway. And so it just again keeps building up those defenses.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, like it's a mixture of just not being vulnerable, but then I get in my feelings like nobody cares about me, and then they be like, why? And then I be going through all this stuff. And they be like, why didn't you tell me? I'm looking at them like, what you like you like what would you have done about that? Nothing. So why I need to
Fair,
tell you?
fair.
Why I need to tell you? Are you not gonna listen, or it's gonna be converted back to your stuff? So it's just like, why do I need to tell you?
Honestly, I'm so happy you said that because as you guys know, I was in a hospital like earlier this year for like 4 or 5 days. And then I was on bed rest for like, I was supposed to be on bed rest for 2 weeks, but uh, I was working for myself. So I couldn't afford to do that. So I just went on bed rest for 1 week. And the reason why that triggered that thought is because like I really tried to keep this whole thing under wraps. And when they told me I had to go to the hospital, I was like, cool. I did not tell my mom until 5 minutes before I was going to surgery. I was like, oh,
And I kept
hey.
saying that, like, I think you should tell your mom. I think you
Yeah.
should tell your mom.
I mean, good. This is gonna be in and out, and they made it very clear that it was not going to be in and out. And I was just like, "Ah, I got this, I got this."
You kept
But
overlooking at text too. I want to say you kept overlooking at text, like not responding to that text. I was like, blah 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 blah. You respond to everything. And did you tell your mom yet? I think you
yeah,
tell your mom. I experienced this before. I think you should tell your mom. You did
yeah,
not.
I did not, I did
I'm not
not
gonna
want
ask you no more.
to. I did not want to. One, I didn't want to go through everything, so there's that.
Yeah,
But also, I was like, all that's gonna come from this is you're gonna worry. You can't do anything about it. I have to have the surgery. I have to be here. I have to, and I don't want you to worry. You have enough things that you're worrying. You have enough things that you're dealing with, and like yeah, kind of like you said, it's that, but what can you do about it? And the
yeah.
truth of the matter is, especially afterwards, and don't get me wrong, my mom was absolutely great. She made sure that I came home to a clean house. I made sure I had everything I needed. Uh, yeah, like everything, like and took care of me during that time. But I did have a moment where kind of like you, I was just like, so nobody thought to visit me in here. Nobody, okay, y'all texting me. Nobody's giving me a phone call. Nobody is like doing the actual like, hey, I want to check on you today and I want to make sure you're good. And the truth of the matter is I kept making it feel like it wasn't a big deal. And I'm aware of that. I kept being like, oh yeah, guys, it's cool. This is what happened. LOL. And again, I think it goes back to that well, I feel like, well, I don't know. I guess there's also a part of me that's just scared of like what would even vulnerable rest look like and how will people even respond to that? Because I remember like a couple years ago, I got my heart broken really, really bad, like really, really bad. And like, I've had heartbreaks and stuff before, but it's usually like, okay, it's been 4 business days and go about your way. But I got my heart broken really bad in a way that like I had never experienced before. And I remember I had several people say to me things like, girl, I didn't even know you cried or like stuff. And I know it was in a joking manner and so forth, but I think about comments like that make me feel like, oh yeah, people don't expect that for you. So you have to show up in the way that people expect you to show up because that's my role. That's what I do. I'm not even sure people will know how to act if I came out in a whole different role.
Yeah, but I think you do better at explaining it. I remember like somebody disappointed you and you were wondering like, okay, why did they do this to me? And then you thought about it and you explained how it made you feel. I don't, and I think I had to do that too because he was like, I didn't even know. But for real, I don't know if I can change that because
Nick, this is not the place to discuss your doubt, okay?
okay, yeah, I had that said to me like I didn't know that you were feeling that way. But I don't know. It's still something I have to work on. And every time people say, you could have just asked, you could have just told me. Um, you have to talk, you have to speak up.
Yeah.
But I always try to figure out why I don't. Um, and then I have tried, not really. I try sometimes if people ask, like, do you do you need some help? And then I'll try to like delegate something or are you okay? Even if even if they say I'm okay, I do say I'm okay. So it's still a work in progress. It's still a work in progress. So I'm still trying to figure out what is it. But I think it goes back to me putting off that I'm okay. I mean, people know I'm not okay, but they know I'm not gonna be vulnerable enough to open up. I think people sometimes know I'm not okay, but know I'm also not gonna tell them what's
Oh,
going
for
on.
sure. For sure.
So it's just
For
like
sure.
I
For
want to be
sure.
there for that child, but I know she ain't gonna tell me anyway. And I really don't tell until I'm at my wits end. Yeah, I done had a whole mess up, like, yeah, and then I had to get, like, cussed out by our sister or our friends, and I'm like, "Well, I know," and then I was like, let's start from step 1, let's try this again, let's try to be open up more now, because for real, I think people do love you and care about you, but it's just a hard, vulnerable state, but if we actually take on the I don't know, if we take it on, I still feel like I just don't wanna be disappointed, I'd rather make up my own
Yeah.
disappointments in my head than have the hardcore reality of nobody
Yeah.
knows how to handle me. I don't know.
That's real. That's real because it's like, I think especially when you struggle with this, it's like, damn, I must be really down bad for me to even like let y'all in like that. And so it's not just like people not being knowing how to be there for you feels like, oh, well, it's okay. You tried. It's like, nah, I need you to do better. I need you to do better. I am at my wits' end. Like I need, and I think sometimes I know this is something I struggle with, and it's stupid. It's stupid. Logically, I know it's stupid, but it feels like I know how to be there for you. Why the fuck
Mhm,
can't you like I notice when your tone changes. I notice when
mhm.
you're doing something out of whack. Why the fuck don't you notice that about me? And then I have to tell myself because people are mind readers. Like they're it's also you're super hyper vigilant. So you pay attention to very minor things that most people don't pay attention to. Most people don't do that. Most people haven't had the same childhood trauma as you, so they don't do that shit. But like it's kind of yeah, that's the thing I feel like I struggle with. Is that like why do you think I say something? Because I knew you weren't you feeling good. I picked you up and I just took you to the spot because I knew.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's unfair to expect of people. Even if
Yeah,
you do that, that's
yes.
unfair to expect from others.
And that's why I said I even tell you, like, people aren't mind readers
Oh
sometimes.
yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
okay, Johnny. Okay.
Like
Okay.
I need to marry a psychic because the way I get frustrated when people ask me too many questions, like it's fine. I'll handle it.
Yeah. And the thing is, I get even more probably frustrated. I always get more frustrated with my man than my friends. Because if you see me pouting, you better ask me what's wrong with me. You're my man. But my friends, I just say, I'm tired. I'm tired. But if I come
I'm
to this house and acting up and you just like don't say nothing, you need to ask me what's wrong with me. I don't know.
no, that's
Levels.
I feel like I overfunction more with friends than I do with anybody. And I think it's because like I wasn't always like this. It's so crazy. I really value my friendships. Like it's my friendships are like top 3 most important relationships in my life. My daughter being number 1. And so like it really because I think what I found out, especially as an adult, being an adult sometimes can get really, really lonely. And you go through trials and you go to different things that it feels like I can't tell my family because They don't even know I'm out here doing this. Or like I can't tell them because they don't understand. They're gonna talk about how this looks on the family or whatever. And like maybe I can't tell my man because I don't know why I can't say it. I don't be telling this shit. So I don't know. For all types of reasons. It's a good, healthy reason.
They're not to their man.
Hmm. All my reasons are toxic. So like I can't use mine.
That's the thing. I think I can tell
Okay,
the
yeah.
person I'm talking to
I do not like telling the
the
people I'm talking
most,
to.
probably. And I don't really get that.
Okay. Well, and again, it just might feel like I can't, there's so many people in my life, or maybe I can't tell my man because we're not at that level yet.
Yeah,
Maybe
there
we
we go.
just started dating. But like I always feel like as an adult, my friends have been like a big part of like help building me back up when I do feel like I am struggling. Help making sure like, okay, I went through a really bad depression episode in like 2021. And like my friends, y'all were the ones checking on me. You guys were the ones that's like, did you go back to your psychiatrist? Like, okay, I get it. I get it. You're good. Did you crawl off the break? Like, did we talk about FMLA? Um, and so I feel the need to like, oh man, y'all really had me in moments where I felt like nobody had me. And so I feel like while I still struggle with being vulnerable with y'all, I feel like even the moments I've had where I have relied and like it did not turn out as planned, we were able to mend that. It wasn't like brushed off your shoulder, just like kind of get over and like you grown. It's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm so lucky to have a good group of friends in general right now who like if somebody's struggling financially, okay, I can send you this. Is you good? Okay,
Mhm.
if somebody needs a place to stay, one of us are like, okay, girl, oh, you leaving him, it's fine. You could come over here. I'm so happy that like I have a group of friends where it's not like we just party, smoke, and drink together. Like, no, we really help support each other. You got a podcast coming out, I'm gonna promote it. You started a new business, okay, girl, I'm gonna promote it on here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna be your first customer. And because I feel like I have such a solid group of people, even when we get in each other's nerves, I have a solid group of people. It's like I feel like it's owed to them. Like I owe them my all.
Mhm.
And it feels safer. This is for a whole other episode. But my girlfriends, I will, and not to get me wrong, I do overfunction in romantic relationships. Definitely. It's something that I consciously work out because that's the mode I've been living in so long. But the area I find it the hardest to stop in is definitely with my friends.
Mhm. It's funny because I don't know, because you said like friends, not all of the men that I have dealt with, but like sometimes the man was there more than my friends, and I don't understand the vulnerability in that for me. So I'm just saying sometimes like
But was
okay,
it more of a because we are going through the same thing at the same time, and so it feels like
maybe
you
and
can
it was like
relate?
a match and match.
Yeah. Or is it sometimes like because I low key look down on you a little bit, I don't care what you think about me because
That's
that's
true.
different.
That's true.
Hmm.
And I hold my friends up to higher standards probably. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. So I guess it depends on who it is, because some guys I can't really be that vulnerable with. But I would like to be more vulnerable with my friends. But yeah, it's something we got to figure out as we go. It's like this 30 and 35, 34 and up. It's just being like really transitioning. It's like, why do I do that? Let's figure it out.
Oh, that is problematic. Okay, let me switch that, I
Yes,
guess.
yes, I've been switching it up, but yeah. Okay. So let's talk about grief for the life you could have had. So sometimes over functioning robs you of the playful, the experimental, and messy parts of your life. That's a quiet grief. You're realizing you skipped a whole areas of softness because you were too busy holding it all together. Well, buddy. I think for me that is something that I definitely have gone through. Even as a kid, sometimes I felt like I couldn't live my full kid life, or even like, for example, having to come back home from Kentucky State because my sister had to go to school. I feel like I was robbed there, so I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
But
wait,
then,
wait, wait. I don't know the full story there. Girl, I thought you partied out. What happened?
no, they couldn't afford to for me and Jasmine to go at the same time, so they said I had to go to Ohio school.
Oh.
And I couldn't figure out and I was a first time college person or whatever, first
Mhm.
whatever, you know how they
First
have the
gen.
first year or whatever it is. My uncle
First
graduated
generation.
first generation of my parents. So my parents didn't go. So we didn't really, and they had money because they were in GM and they didn't give me any tuition or everything was out of my pocket in loans.
Yeah.
So by the time Jasmine came, it got higher. So they couldn't afford it for me to go. And I was trying to like get part ways with them, but they were saying I was still under the income. I was trying to just do my income somehow,
Yeah.
but we didn't really know how to do all of that. But by the time I got to UC, it was under my income. I've been trying to be like a mom while holding it together and losing my fiance, and I didn't really get to experience the full mom life. Or trying to hold, like just holding it on with a smile. And I always think about that. Like, I don't remember first when the first steps happened. I don't remember this, I don't remember that. Or just always trying to have it like be this strong person. And I don't really get to be in the moment. So I will say I have tested myself more to be in the moment and not pre-plan or pre-plan so much for the future or dwell so much on the past. Try to be in the moment because I have called myself like reflecting, like I don't remember none of that because I was just trying to be strong or just trying to get through it or be prim and proper to get through it to the next step. And I feel like I missed a lot, not a lot, but some parts of my life I did miss because I was trying to keep it all together. So I definitely can relate to this. And I definitely have grief of like what coulda, shoulda, woulda,
Yeah.
dulda about a few things.
Yeah. And one of the things you guys don't know is a lot of times me and Nique's life just mirrors each other, but in like different ways. So like again, we got engaged at the same time, we got pregnant around the same time. We were planning in fact, me and you were the ones who me and you went wedding dress shopping together. Like you
Mhm.
we were the only ones I think we went wedding dress shopping with was each other.
Yeah.
Um, our situations did end it for different reasons, but we ended the go from fiance and like planning a life with somebody to be like, okay, I have to do this on my own at the same time. And I bring that up because that's how I also felt like the first couple years of my daughter's life. Like I was so busy that I didn't feel mentally present for things. And I think that's why I go so hard about trying to be really, really present now. Because like you said, I don't remember first steps. I can't tell you first words. I can't because like when I first had her, I was in my last semester of grad school. And I had to wrap this thing up. Then I had to go and then get a job afterwards. And then during school, I'm driving to Pittsburgh area from freaking Alpharetta, driving from Alpharetta to Kennesaw, doing that whole triangle. I'm like in traffic for like 5 hours of my day. And it's school, it's internship, plus I'm working. And then I had being a mom on top of it. And I definitely, definitely feel like, and the thing is, it wasn't that I didn't have people step up and help. I did not. I felt like I should have to do this on my own. I felt like, well, you the one who got pregnant, you the one that left this man, you the one who got yourself into this situation. And I think also like kind of coming, and I know you feel similar, like I grew up a pastor's kid, and so I grew up very much knowing what my parents' expectation was of me. And I already felt like I was failing them by becoming a social worker. Like they were like, we spent the money for you to become an evil scientist in your ass up here, saving, just
Yeah.
trying to save the children and hugging trees. Um, that was already a thing, and so like it felt like because my folks, like, when they realized, like, okay, so you guys aren't getting married, you're about to move. Like, my parents did something. They're like, come move here. Just come back home. You can go. Matter of fact, during my last semester, I like we were having issues, and I was just like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be able to marry this man. And they were just like, okay, my dad called Oklahoma State University, talked to their social work department. He was like, my daughter might have to move here. She only has a semester left. Can she? And he was like, and I talked to them, but we can have you graduated by the fall. like, but like, I just felt like I don't want to let people down because you have this. I kept thinking everybody has this expectation of me. And so at least if I solve this by myself,
Mm.
I at least if I saw this by myself, then I keep some of the image. I keep some of them like, okay, that's you're the go-to person. You're the person that can figure it out.
Yeah. And like you were saying, like we went through the same thing at the same time.
I can't.
Because like you were moving out from being with him, and then I was like, okay, it's time. I was living with my parents. I was living with my parents, but I'm like, okay, it's time. I'm 30 years old. It's time for me to get my own place. And they didn't want me to. And then but we just was like, we just gotta do this. Like, because I think like you just was like, I just want to move out and you found your place to live. And that's the same thing. I just woke up one day and went to apply for an apartment and got us approved, and then told them after I was moving out at the end of the month, and they were like confused. And my mom cried. And I'm like, I'm a grown woman
Why
now.
is that the way you always get housing? Because you did that with your house too. I was
I
like, what do you
did.
mean you got
I
a house? You're like,
did.
I got this email and I just applied for it and then I got a home. Like, you're like, it was a 2-week process.
It'd be so random. Like I was looking at apartment shopping by myself. And that's I mean, that's another clue of me not being vulnerable. Like, why didn't I tell my mom I'm about to do this? My mom could have went with me and helped me. But again, it's like I think the pressure that they put on us, like you have to be on the straight and narrow. You have to have your stuff together.
Mhm,
Don't ask many questions. They pushed us to be this way, but then ask why we don't ask for help. Because you
mhm.
made us this way. I mean, it's good, but it's hyper independent, you know?
It
So
is. It
I
is.
definitely, because I remember looking at that place. I went there and she was like, well, hurry up and put your deposit in, because there was people upstairs and I was downstairs. She was like, well, hurry up and run and get your deposit in. I'm going to give it to you. I ran and did it real fast. I came back. Like looked at the apartment. I cried. I was like, I got my own place. This is my first time living by myself, because I had
Mhm,
roommates first and now I live with my parents. So this was our place. And I was like, I got to do it. So I remember little monumental parts like that, because it was
mhm.
little things like I'm doing it for me and my baby. But like, I don't remember all the in betweens, like at all, because it's just like, now I got this place, I gotta pay these bills. But we were definitely going through the same thing at the same time, because I remember the transition from moving out from your old fiance into being on your own. And we both was just talking and talking about the struggle, but we
Girl.
did it. But yeah, I don't remember a lot. And we did a lot. We kind of still got our kids together. We did fun stuff, but I don't remember
Yeah.
a lot on those. I don't remember a lot on the baby years. I remember when they were like bigger, when we started going to
When
like
they were
other
toddlers.
extravagant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
And
same
this
for
is when
me.
we went
I
to
don't remember
Nashville
her
and
baby
stuff.
years. She don't remember her baby years. We all in the
Um,
dark about it.
yeah, we just had pictures of them sitting by each other, sitting on the couch. But it's
Mhm.
that's all I
That
remember.
I actually remember. That I
But
actually
I don't know,
remember.
was her dad still alive at that
He
point?
was
See,
alive. We were
okay, I
there.
don't
His
remember any
parents were
stuff.
in his house. His parents were there during that time.
Parents met her
Because I
too.
remember you had on that green jumpsuit and you had grabbed Cry because she was like old enough to kind of like stand and you were dancing with her. And
Mhm.
he,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, see. Because I was in hyper like then I was like,
yeah,
okay, I gotta take care of my fiance, I gotta take care of my baby. I don't remember the small things. I just remember pictures of it.
yeah,
So it's definitely like it is a grief. It is a grief of not being really in a moment or having um sad thoughts about the things you could have done. But in all honesty, it's just for me, it's a learning step or a learning tool to be present from in the present and in the future things to come. So yeah.
yeah. And my thing is, especially with this one, talking about that grief part, is that a lot of times, like you will have, and I think that's how you can tell, like, oh crap, am I over functioning? Am I struggling with being vulnerable? Am I really asking for my needs to be met? Because you'll have these moments where you just break down. Nobody loves me. Nobody takes care of
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
I make everything better for everybody else. Girl, I have those every 3 months. We have them quarterly. And I feel like instead of taking that as a like, I'm so this and this, that, do a check-in and check in on, okay, is this because I am struggling with always doing for others and never letting anyone do for myself? Is this because I am in survival mode and the only thing I know how to do is be an asset to others? That's what gives me love. That's what gives me safety. And I am feeling overwhelmed. And that is why my emotions are going haywire. That's why I am all over the place. And let yourself have that moment. Have your cry. Hell, have a little bit of a pity party. Don't have it too long. And then after you have it, ask yourself, okay, do that check-in. Now, where was the source of this? Why am I doing this? Is it that people really don't love me? Or did I not really ask for help? Is it that no one knows how to be there for me? Or is it that I've never taught them? I've never told them. Sometimes, again, and I think when you're an over functioner, especially if you're one who's like, I just automatically know. Some of us are very intuitive people and we can read people's emotions very easily. We can read the room very easily. And again, kind of going back to that, you kind of want people to be a psychic. That's not fair. You can't be mad at those folks because y'all don't have the same skills. So
Mhm.
is it that these people don't know how to be there for me, or have I not taught them how to be there for me? Do
Yeah,
the check in.
yeah, definitely. It's definitely good to do the check-in, instead of because you will definitely get those ones. I mean, you can have your moments, like you said, but doing a check-in will be like, okay, what we got to get together? All right, what
Yeah,
we got to fix? Am I the problem, or is communication a problem, or this or that? So
yeah.
I agree.
I mean, and kind of going back to what we've talked about, I feel like all over this episode is making sure that over functioning isn't your identity, because that can create an identity trap for you. That I only recognize myself as everybody's go-to person. I only recognize myself as Mrs. Make It Happen, Mr. Make It Happen. I only recognize myself in my worth by how much I can do, how much I can show that I do. When you really look at yourself, I actually recently did this. I actually recently did this with a friend where we were going over, and this is something I do in therapy as well, sometimes with clients. But I recently did this with a friend where, they were having a little bit of a crisis and it kind of went back to like how they identify. And so I was like, all right, we're going to do some therapy. Like, tell me who you are. And you're like, what do you mean? I was like, no, tell me when you describe who you are, your qualities, what your identity is, like, how would you describe it? Every single thing that they gave me was about how much they can do for others. I'm reliable. I am everybody's go to person. I know how to make people feel good. It was all these things that went back to how much they can do for others. And I was like, girl, that's why you exhausted, because none of those things were actually about you. Everything that you love or know about yourself is about how much you can do for others. And if that becomes your identity, it is impossible to get out of the over functioning trap,
Hmm.
because that's all I know. That's who I think I am. That's what I think my role is. You'll never be able to get out that circle because you think that's all of who you are.
I agree. I don't know. Did we have maybe you had this conversation with me? Because I remember reflecting on it. I was like, bro, I'm like that person. I don't know, was it you had this conversation with me, or maybe you asked me, or maybe I asked myself?
Probably. I feel like I have this conversation with people like 5 times a week. This is just like
Yeah.
a
I
reoccurring
think,
conversation for me.
yeah. And I couldn't figure out anything either. It was all about what I did for other people. And then when I had the isolation period where I felt everybody was nobody was coming to me for their problems, I felt empty. And I'm like, well, what does that have to do with you? Like, what is how is that a good quality? It is a good quality for you, but what is at your core? What shines for you, or what do you bring? I couldn't answer it. And it was all around other people. So I think that is something that we should reflect on and then get to the root of it. Um and figure out what that means or how that looks for you, or what do you bring to the table, or what are some of your best qualities? Because that really had me stunned, like, wait, it's all about service qualities. It was you that I had this conversation with. Someone, it's all about giving. It's all about serving. And it's like, what does that have to do with me? So that's when I realized that I just equate that to love. And I was like, but why do I do that? And I remember we had a whole conversation. I remember why we figured out why I do that. It's probably, like I always say, childhood stuff. But it always rolls back to that. Um, but it is a good thing to actually try to process and then see what you need to do to change it.
Yeah, no, 1,000% agree. It's why, because there was a moment in my life where I couldn't answer that. All the answers either had to do with accomplishments, which again is showing my function, showing how that I can do something, or how much I could do for others. And
Mhm,
like it's when I really start to make the switch to, okay, I am creative. And it's like, okay, so now you need to find outlets to express your creativity, because that is a big part of who you are as well. And you
mhm.
need to give yourself lots of time to practice those other parts. And it doesn't have to be big parts. You don't have to say, I am a creative. It can be like, I am peaceful. And so that
Yeah.
might mean for you practicing peace more often, practicing meditation, practicing forgiveness, whatever it is. It does not have to be this big, huge title,
Mhm. Mhm.
but really challenge yourself to see, like, what is my title? And do I need to change it? Is this the reason? Because I identify so heavily with this title, is that the reason why I am staying stuck in this pattern that has me feeling alone and like there's nobody there for me and I can rely on no one but myself?
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, especially emotionally. I do want to bring that up, especially emotionally, because I feel like a lot of times, even like, okay, earlier today, I was talking about my friends, right? And I was like, I can rely on my friends that if I'm like, girl, I'm stuck in San Diego, y'all be like, okay, we gonna get you a flight. Like, I can rely on y'all
Mhm.
to be there. But I think sometimes check in with, okay, even that emotional part, because I think sometimes we look at the physical parts and we're like, okay, that's good enough. Those are the parts I can see, and they are good. Those are important parts. But again, a lot of times my overfunctioners, we are really, really bad at making sure we're really, really bad at trying to help to handle our our mental health by ourselves.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, there's going to be moments and times in your life where that is what you need to do. But there's going to be moments and times where you do need to feel love, where you do need to feel cared for, where you do feel like there's somebody that understands.
Yeah.
And if you are always the one being understanding and you are always the one helping others and you are always the one that are like kind of playing the therapist role, especially my therapists, y'all are the worst at
Mhm.
this. My therapists
Mhm.
and my nurses, Lord. Um, Sometimes we bypass it because think about it as like your homegirl with that like horrible man. And it's like, but he cooked me dinner. And it's like, girl, you was crying on the couch and that man walked right past you.
Yeah.
Check in with those emotional things. Don't let just the physical things have you cause bypassing the fact that you are still over functioning and
Mhm.
that you are still emotionally over functioning and that emotional things are needed too. So that's all we have on today's episode, guys. We hope that you enjoy. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy, and we will have a new episode for you guys next Sunday. Bye.